Join me as I draft and sew this beautiful V-neck bubu gown. There's actually a pleat on the V-neck. If you've been interested, let's dive in. So I've gone ahead to fold I'm going to be using my Ankara fabric and my Mercado fabric, okay? This is the style I want to sew, but the Ankara is going to be on the pleats. The V-neckline is going to carry the Mercado. All right, so let's dive in. I folded my fabric into 4, and then I'll be taking the length I want for my mid back to my sleeve. Okay, so I'll be taking 23. Now this depends on your preference, and I'll come down by 13. You could also come down by 14. I'll do same for the other side. And now to get the body, we had 23. I'm going to be subtracting about 7 inches from it. So 23 minus 7, that's about 16 inch thereabout. So I'll go ahead and mark the 16 inch down. Now 14 to 16 inch is fine. So I'll mark it down to my full length. Remember, Ankara fabric is usually 45, and 45 is not going to be enough. So I turned my fabric the other way to fold. Very important, please. So I'm just taking the body measurement now, which is 16 inches. After that, I'm going to be using my ruler to draw the lines so that it's going to aid me in cutting properly. Okay? So I've gotten my full length. As you can see, the full length is actually 62 inches. 60 inches plus 2 inches allowance for hemming. Okay? And then where I have my arm side, I'll go ahead and use my French curve to curve it like so, because I don't want sharp edges. I'll go ahead and curve it, and then I'll be cutting. Now for the neckline, before cutting, the neckline is 3.5 inches by 1 inch. We are cutting we are measuring for the back neckline first. So we're going to be taking 3.5 by 1 inch. Okay, then we'll go ahead and cut. To my subscribers, you rock. If you're new in this channel, you're welcome. If you have any questions, kindly leave it in my comment section, okay? So I'll just go ahead and cut. After cutting, I am going to be opening it up, demarcating the front from the back. I've done this countless number of times on this channel. I'm still going to be linking how to make different styles of bubu here. On my description box, I will be linking it. So now I've demarcated the front and from the back. Okay, now this depends on your preference, but I'm going to be coming down by 6.5 inches, making it what? 7.5. Remember, we took 1 inch for the back neckline. Okay, now this depends on how deep you want your neckline to be. Okay, and after that, I'm going to be cutting. Now to create that V neckline with the Mikado, I will just go ahead and mark where my shoulder is going to be stopping. That is 8 inches, okay? And then I'll be marking where I want the V neckline to stop from the shoulder. I think I took about 23 inches from the shoulder point. Then I am going to be drawing a line. Now this is an imaginary line because I'm still going to be constructing it on the Mercado fabric. I'll be replicating it on the Mercado fabric. So I'm going ahead to map out the neckline. As you can see, I wouldn't have done this because I'm doing this because of maybe we have some beginners here. So I've marked out 23 inches stay on the Mercado fabric, and for the back neckline I've marked 2.5 inches thereabouts. I've marked it on the Mercado, so when I remove this fabric now, I'll be able to follow where I've marked to draw. I told you the shoulder measurement is 8 inches. That is where I want the Mikado to stop. Okay, so it's going to come out fine. And then with the aid of my ruler, I'm going to be marrying it down to where I want the V neckline to stop. Okay, the V design to stop. Remember, it's 23 inches from the shoulder point there, and then I'll be curving this in to the 2.5 inch for the back. Now this back one is optional, but I just want it to be, unique. You can terminate it from the front there through the shoulder, but I just want it to be unique in a way. I'll go ahead and cut. Now this is going to serve as the facing for both the front and the back neckline, if that makes sense to you. If you're new in this channel, a facing is what you use to turn in your neckline to achieve a finished and neat result. So this is what it looks like on the Ankara, and then I am going to be placing the Mikado on it so you see what I'm trying to talk about. So this is the Mikado on it. This is what we're going to be using to turn the neckline. Like I said earlier, we are going to be using a cover button to form buttons here. About 4 is fine. You could make yours more or less, depends on your preference. And then we'll use an Ankara to pleat. Okay, we'll cut 5 inches by the round neckline. That's the round Mikado neckline, the outer part, not the inner part, and we'll multiply by 3 to give you a 9 split. You can multiply by 4, so we'll be using that to pleat round. Now this is for the sleeve. I'm measuring it. I'll go ahead and cut 5 inches by the length of the sleeve. We have 2 sleeves, so I'll be cutting 2. This is one and the other one is there. Hope I'm understood. Now we are done for this. Let's dive into the sewing process. So now we are on the sewing process. The first thing we are going to be doing, we are going to be turning the neckline. Now this is the back of the fabric. The back of the fabric, and I'm using the front parts of the Mikado to face the back of the Ankara fabric. Very important. So when I turn, the front of the Mikado fabric will be facing the front of the Ankara fabric. Okay, if that makes sense to you. Okay, so I'll go ahead and stitch. After stitching, I'm going to notch important places so that when I turn, it's going to be seamless. It's going to be very neat. Now if you do not notch, you're going to be having some folds. Be sure to give this a good press when you're done. Be sure to give it a good press so that it's going to lay flat and nice. Okay, I've gone ahead to give it a good press. Now I'll be folding 0.5 inch for the back neckline to make it neat. Then for the front, it depends on your preference. You can serge. You can use a weaving machine to serge. I just stitched it down, and then I will be measuring the round Mikado neckline, the outer part. This is 5 inches by the length times 4, thereabout. You could make yours times 3. Times 3 is not bad, or 3.5. It all depends on your preference. So I'm done sewing. I'm going to be turning it. After turning, I am going to be stitching. Now the shoulder slope, there is no shoulder slope here, but you can still add a shoulder slope. You can palm down by 1 inch, okay, and cut for the shoulder. But you can also do it in this alternative method. I think I've taught the coming down by 1 inch and stitching and cutting, then stitching together the shoulders together in my other bubu tutorials. But this one, because of the pleats, I am going to still be stitching the shoulder because I do not want the pleat to come out. I want the pleat to be seamless, and I want the pleat to just be at the front. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and stitch. You see I terminated it there because I'm going to still be sewing the shoulder. Okay, so you see I'm going to be sewing it together. I folded it together. I'll just stitch it. I just came down by 1 inch at the ending side, as you can see. and then I will stitch because I want it to be very neat. I do not want the pleats showing. Okay, this also means you can cut your shoulders. All right, you can as well cut the shoulder. So now I'll go ahead and sew for the sleeve. Remember, it's 5 inches. So I'll turn the back of the bubble gown, and I'm going to be placing it like this, using 0.5 inch to sew it down, and then I will turn it. Do well to cut off the excess. Okay, if you have any excesses, do well to cut it off. You can see how the shoulder is neat. Like I said earlier, you can divide your shoulders into two and serge when you're done, but I just said to do it this way. Okay, so now I'll be using elastic by the waist. Okay, so when she wears it, it's going to cinch her waist a bit. Now you can use the Ankara for belts. You can either use the belt or the elastic, any one of your choice. So I am going to be coming down to where I have the waist measurement. You can leave it at the under bust, but I'm using the waist measurement. Okay, now the elastic, I am going to be subtracting 4 inches or 5 inches from the actual waist measurement. Okay, and then I am going to be stitching it down. Okay, like I told you, you can use the Ankara to form a belt and just sew it there. So when your client is putting it on, she's going to tie it, but me, I just said to use an elastic. I had to use a lighter to burn the edge so it doesn't free. Now I'm done. I'll join together and I'll use 0.5 inch to sew. I'll take my around sleeve measurements, adding 2 inches for ease. Then I'll be leaving that opening because of the slit at the bottom of the gown. I'll finish it up as you can see. If you have any questions, kindly leave it on the comment section. So I am closing the slit now. I'm making it neat. As you can see, just watch closely. It's not much of a task. After this, I will go and hem and serge the edges. Okay, the side seam. I will serge it. That is, I'm going to be weaving it. Okay, using my weaving machine. So this is what it looks like. You can see how neat it is. Now I'm going to be hemming the full length, and now I will just use my thread and needle to tack the button, and we are done. If you find this helpful, kindly let me know. Thanks for watching. See you on my next one. Bye.